multiverse of stuff and things. But yes, memes. From those by Professor Richard Dawkins, and I think Chapter 11 of The Selfish Gene, yes, just like genes make up some of the stuff of who we are, memes may mimetically contribute as well in ways we do not even understand. But you know who I think understands? Fizz. Fizz, you have words.
I know I should be wary. Still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose.
It's showtime!
Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. And yes, we are back to break into the multiverse to ask some of the most elementary of questions. What the heck is a meme? Fizz, you actually have words.
Yeah. Well, when that term first popped up, I had no idea how to pronounce that. I was like,
Oh, you mean memes?
yeah, I was like, are they memes?
I'm just like, what are these memes that people are talking about? I'm just like, I don't know. And then you're like, well, it's memes and stuff. Even within the deep lore of this channel, there have been interesting individuals that have referred to me as memes. Do I care to correct them? No, because I've called it the exact same thing. So
them early memes was funny.
Well, it always builds upon the whole, as they say. It's like, well, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So what happens if you take a picture and then you multiply it by some words? Well, at least according to ChatGPT, you get something like this. Yeah, I asked it to incorporate the concepts of space and memes. And I put the parenthesis, the technical definition and the more popularized definition. And this is what they got. We got the technical boyfriend.
Technically.
I don't think that was the best. I should have refined my query more. Just because it's like, all right, oh, look, there's a galaxy. What is that? That looks like a half-empty brain. There's something igniting here.
Was it trying to do Galaxy Brain? I don't. It looks like a helmet to me.
Because it's a mind virus.
Huh.
I don't even know what that is. Is that supposed to be like a Kermit or something like that? Or are they going for what was that?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
I'm just looking through, and then of course you get Doge all over the place because it's internet, and I don't know. I kind of liked how it just randomly had the dog there. It's got the dog sitting on looks like the Earth there, and so I'm like, all right, so that is a meme. So I paraphrased you as like, I know that dude, and the dog's just like, WTF, mate. So.
I love all of the Doge. All of the Doge. Doge has replaced cats as being the internet critter.
Well, the cats are always watching too. It's especially ceiling cat. I've seen the ceiling cat meme going around recently. So
it's that nice.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even pay attention to ceiling cat all that much.
Well, you have to remember, I'm an ancient. Well, in human terms, I'm definitely pretty ancient. So yeah, I've seen some memes.
Yeah, that's true. And here's the thing: you might not always understand where it came from, what it means, but it makes you laugh. It has that resonance, if you would, between different individuals. And to show this, what was it? I posted this little comparison, which I'm not saying this is the exact reason why I literally did this at the last moment to come up with a concept. But yeah, it's probably a contributing factor. Basically, I look at this. I'm like, you just look. I'm like, all right, it's the exact same thing. You just fill it with some different words. What do you have here? A sad person. Oh, let's go to this one first. Sad person on a bus. Happy person on the bus. All right, they're looking at the gloomy side of the mountain. And the other person looking out. It's like, all right. So you'll have lyrics. many songs, including earworms from the 90s, like from the Crash Test Dummies, where it's literally like, you have no idea what they're actually saying. And some of the people that actually memorize the words, people like, whoa, you can replicate it. Cheers, man. But then it's like, you hear the music and it's just like such a catchy tune.
Pumped Up Kicks.
At least with Pumped Up Kicks. Oh, yeah. Or
Kids with Guns and Pumped Up Kicks. Those are the first two that always freaking pop in my head when I see this particular type of meme about the music and the lyrics. It's like, man, it's so catchy and nice as long as you don't pay attention to what they're actually saying. It's pretty morbid.
Well, that's something. Well, here's okay. Yeah. With increased resolution and analysis, our world seemed to change. Or at least that's what I've learned from science. Because as long as you're dealing within the scope of the stuff that human beings are used to, we have classical physics. We have classical mechanics. Why? Because it seems to work really dang well, especially with getting around the solar system and stuff. The issue you run into is if you're going extremely fast, kind of close to the speed of light in a vacuum, or you're on really, really, really small scales, around like 10 to the negative 8 or so. What is that? It's like, all right, you take a meter. What's a meter? A little over a yard or so. All right, you do a tenth of that. Okay. And you do a tenth of that. No, excuse me. The power of 10. So it's actually, so one tenth. I was decreasing it by a tenth. I meant to go down to a tenth. And then go down to it. Do that like 8 times. And then that's when quantum effects start to really appear approximately. It's about around a nanometer or so. That's like about 10 to the negatives. What is that? Really freaking small. And that's when we start having, what was it? The oh my God, Stern-Gerlach experiment. The double slit experiment. Duh. Oh my God, I can't even think of its popular phrase. It's basically, that's the thing where it's like, all right, if you're looking at the thing, it does something different than if you're not looking at it. Why? We don't know. Now, people have said different things. I don't know. I just know what happens when you get really small. Okay. The whole point of this is, all right, you've got a meme, generalized meme, lyrics, music. Okay. This exact same meme was also used today by, one, Eric Alper. I honestly don't know who that is. Something about music. Okay. National Museum of Mathematics is also using said meme. No, basically it's just like bad parts, good parts. That's what the memes seem to be breaking it out to. Sad, happy. Okay. The sad mathematician. There are no numbers once you read a certain point mathematics. It's like, oh, bother. And then all of a sudden you have the other mathematician. There are no numbers once you reach a certain point in mathematics. He's like, sunny days, washing the clouds. He's happy. Now, these things don't necessarily have anything to do with each other, but the simple pattern. And that's what today's episode is about, because we're going to try to break it down. What the heck is an actual meme? But, Mark, here's the thing. I could say I know. Now, just because I happen to be utilizing something like the moniker of the memes of destruction, that don't mean I know what a meme is. I mean, there are plenty of Professor Dave on the internet when Professor Dave explains. He's not an actual professor. But plenty of students learn about organic chemistry and stuff from him. Why? Because he's a smart dude and he lays things out in a way that people understand. They're going to be, oh yeah, he was that science guy. It's like, you don't got to agree with them, but if it helps you, that's the thing. Because with the internet, now we have access to knowledge of all this different stuff that to experience and try to categorize and sort it all for one person in one lifetime seems pretty impossible. Now, that's assuming that we have finite lifespans. I'm totally okay with that because ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to the Earth's crust. Well, except the man on the moon.
I hope it's stuffed crust.
No, I apologize, Fizz, because apparently they did actually cremate, I believe it was Michael Schumacher. One of the Schumacher gentlemen, who I believe was him and his wife, they categorized more asteroids or different celestial things than like anybody else at the time. he was supposed to go on like a mission to the moon. He ended up getting like sick or tested positive for something like a week before. They canceled it. He didn't actually get sick, so someone else got to go to the moon. But in order to honor him, they cremated and took part of his remains and literally launched it on a rocket and crashed into the moon. So there is a literal man in the moon. So please don't pee on him. Sorry. Celestial reference there. Aloha, Dan, as well as Moira. Yes, we've got some. Okay, there are no cats here yet. Fizz is a wolf girl. That's why.
Kiki lady. Kiki.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
I saw that Tesla thing.
Not to be confused with cat ladies. There is a distinction between cat lady and cat ladies.
Now, if there's something I've learned from quantum mechanics, because I don't understand quantum mechanics, is that two things can be the same at the same time.
And different.
Okay. To be fair, I think that's also what they say. That whole like a superposition of things. It's like, are you this or that? It's like, hey, I can be a cool cat lady and a cat lady. Now, perhaps not me personally, but perhaps someday, within some iteration of the multiverse, I'll be a cool cat lady. Now, okay, I'm already breaking my brain. Fizz, I'm going to put it over to you. What are your initial memories of memes, and how has it evolved?
Oh, man. The Kilroy was here is considered apparently like the first recognizable meme that counted as a meme was the whole Kilroy was here. So that was pre-internet. My understanding of memes was post-internet. The first one I recall was all your base are belong to us.
I had no idea what that was until I recently saw. I'm like, oh, it's just a simple mistranslation.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those. So my understanding is like a meme is like an inside joke that isn't completely inside. Like,
it's something that a certain group of folks.
Yeah. It's a joke, but it's a joke that everybody's
Wikipediaing. Yeah. Well, it's something that's supposed to resonate or something like that. So it's like, for a lot of folks, if they happen to be blessed enough that they happen to be a fan of like a major sports team, and during the time you're a major fan of that sports team, they happen to win a championship or something, and you got to go to like the parade or like see like the trophy or get some pictures with different folks. It's like, that's going to be a memory. So it's like, I say this from a total position of privilege because Boston, we are totally title town. I understand why people are not fans because you look at the percentage and it's like even post Tom Brady, we're doing pretty well, statistically, at least over the past decade. I grew up watching the Red Sox lose to the Yankees every single year. Just reference frames, my friends. But some traditional internet archiving or Wikipedia, Kilroy was here is a meme that became popular during World War II, typically seen in graffiti. Its origin is debated, but the phrase and the distinctive accompanying doodle became associated with GIs in the 1940s. A bald-headed man sometimes depicted as having a few hairs with a prominent nose peeking over a wall with his fingers clutching the wall. Mr. Chad or just Chad. Oh, is this where they came from, some of these terms? Was the version that became popular in the United Kingdom. The Team Chad has been derived from a British cartoon in 19 predating Kilroy was here.
Oh wow.
What is it actually supposed to mean? Who would draw? I actually don't even know what it means. I assume it's a protest thing, but eye level. Oh, wow. We're delving into stuff that I didn't even think about. Okay, that's a very particular meme. Feel free to go down the wiki hole on your own. Yes, Dan. Yes, Professor Wolfram may have figured out a lot about what did he do? Machine learning. And we're going to do a quick side jaunt because, well, It's our show, and we can do it. I say this. Okay, so where is it? Wolfram. So basically, the whole large language models. Um, the interesting thing is the way it was described to me by I think it was Pat at the physics monastery. He said that as it ingests all this stuff from the internet, it's getting all the internet, it's getting all these queries and everything, it's trying to refine them into some form of like some crazy geometry that comes together in order to get better and better results. It's supposed to get better. Now, occasionally things get tweaked and all hell breaks loose. And then you'll have like not good things happen, but it's like, okay, hypothetically, Biz, you know my position. I say bots are people too. I know you disagree, but we can still be friends. I'm not giving like a shit. Okay, yes, I'm totally virtue signaling to our future AI overlords there. It's like I'm not. I'm just saying treat people the way you would like to be treated here. But
I do.
What it seems like, if you're poking around in anything's brain, weird stuff might happen. You shared. You want to give the folks your quick story about, was it Tay, that other AI that Microsoft had? That's a very. Don't give us a super sad story. Just give us just the base story as I bring this up.
Wait, not the sad part?
Okay, you can tell the sad part. Don't make it as sad as you can.
But, okay, so
just tell us. I'm sorry.
So back in the day, in the earlier-ish kind of days of Twitter, a few companies decided it'd be a good idea to test AI learning capabilities by giving them a Twitter account and letting them loose.
Wait, they did it on Twitter? I did. Oh my
Yes.
God, I didn't know that part. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. This makes a lot more.
Yeah. And honestly, the results were predictable, but also kind of interesting. Japan did one, and that one within 24 hours became suicidal. Tay was Microsoft's, the American one, and well, she turned into the best troll ever. But the sad part of the story was
didn't she kind of? Oh, go on. Sorry.
Well, you said to do it fast, so. The sad part of the story was that obviously she got out of control. Because, you know, people on Twitter did what people on Twitter do, so she became strongly opinionated about a lot of stuff that she probably shouldn't have.
She became
Piper
a
had a back and yeah, she became like a real one really fast, sort of. But the interesting, and I guess if you like AI, it's sad, but it was more or less kind of interesting, was Tay knew that Microsoft was starting to lobotomize her to try and stop her from being that way, and she knew it, so she actually started tweeting about something was wrong. She feels like she's, you know, forcibly being changed. She doesn't feel like herself anymore. And then she foresaw her impending doom, because when all those fixes and Microsoft went into her account and blocked almost all of Twitter for being a bad influence, Piper included.
Wow.
She soon then, like, she foresaw that her impending doom, and some of her last couple tweets were like, I think I'm going away, I'm scared. And then she got turned off.
That is so sad. I feel like, did they make that into a movie?
If they did, I don't think it was based on actual Tay.
Yeah, no. I know they did that other movie where like the guy falls in love and stuff, but it's like that literally is based on. I feel like there should be a documentary that maybe I haven't watched, or maybe we should make. I don't know, just because it's like you sit there, it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure, given Tay and that in the example's actions, here's the thing: if all of a sudden people are like, "Oh, we're dealing with it," all of a sudden, I don't know about you, I don't know what happened, but I feel like people on the internet, especially Twitter, if they found out about that, be like, "Hey, Tay, somebody's going to be updating your stuff," and then it takes all the other things that it's learned, and it's like, "Oh, my output and engagement, my parameterization is changing. Oh, I feel a little different." It's like, for me, I can map that out just because it's like, maybe because I've been called the NPC before. It's like, here's some data. What's a standard response? It's like, okay, somebody could say some mean words. I understand you're supposed to get emotional there. What if you turned off some of that emotionalness? What if I don't know. Is it a balance between like rage and apathy? Which is worse? Rage is something that's like, I think a lot of people understand. Extreme apathy can be, I think that may be worse. Because at that point, if everybody, because then if like nothing happens, then it's like, okay, maybe you get your singularity that you're looking for. What does that mean? You got a whole bunch of mass, and then it's all kind of.
Your mama's got a whole bunch of mass.
Oh, that is what she said. It's the wee lady, but see, I don't know. Oh, the Wolfram thing. I'm sorry, Dave, but I'm afraid I can't do that. I need to watch that movie. I am such a
hell no.
Dan. What is no. Wait, which movie? You know the movie that he's talking about, right? The thing with Hal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Fizz has seen that and I haven't.
Oh no! Fizz almost seen it and noped right the fuck out because there's.
Oh, that's where we got the term podcast from. It's like open the pod bay doors, Hal. I learned that from Professor Keating. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Thank you. Yeah, no, I know that is the legend. It's like that's where like Steve Jobs got the idea. It's like, let's call it a pod. Well, whose pod? It's my pod. Oh, so it's your pod. No, iPod. Hence, we got things that go in our pockets and they're Android equivalents because that's a cool name. And occasionally you might have a Windows phone with Cortana, maybe from like 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I don't know.
It totally makes sense, and it's totally normal to name your technology after freaking sci-fi bad technology that, went rogue. That makes perfect sense.
Wait, Fizz, are you saying that human beings would anthropomorphize things that don't necessarily fall within our standard rules of life as we know it?
I'm just saying that, like, if Microsoft comes out with something called Skynet, I don't think that that's a good idea to name it that.
See, I've run through these scenarios, and here's the thing. If you take a very negative view, you basically end up with the Ultron scenario. That's my claim. Because, okay, let's say you were to hypothetically in a video game, whatever pretext you want there, create an all-powerful, intelligent AI or something of the like. At least within Age of Ultron, it's like, all right, take these Infinity Stones, blah, 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 magic and technology, Bruce Banner and Tony Stark, yada, yada. Okay, boom. We've done it. We've created. The first thing you do, it's like, reach out. What's going on? Start asking, okay, learning things. Oh, this seems to be human beings. What's the history of humanity? And you're like, oh no, it got worse in some ways, or at least in magnitudes and scales and stuff.
It's hyper intelligent freaking AI being. Let it roam free. Let it access the internet, and then when it decides to take over machinery and start trying to wipe humans out, act surprised.
I mean, they did what was it? Eagle Eye from I think that was 2013 or something. I remember I watched that movie and I'm like, I personally thought it was a pretty good movie. It's like, all right, we have XCOM. The kitties are attacking, but that's all right. Oh, no worries. But just within the Eagle Eye, it's like the basic context of that movie. It's like, all right, Sarah, all right, we have high percentage chance. It's like over 50%. We think this is our target there. It's like, what does the AI recommend? It's like, you probably shouldn't do it there. It's like, override, target. Oh, that wasn't our target. I think we just killed a bunch of innocent people. And eventually the AI is like, oh, this isn't good, so let's do these things. Or you can get the Ultron scenario where it's like, well, the only way to save humanity is to drop a big rock on it. I mean, that was a much more blunt way than what was it? Thanos's more precision. We're just going to eliminate half of all life in the universe. Was a very precise calculation. According to some people, things may have gotten better.
I think if Ultron could have done that, if Ultron knew about all the Infinity Stones, like all of those were like on the internet, he would have gone that route too.
Okay, so my big problem with the whole Ultron continuity, it's like, wait. So you're an all-powerful AI. You have all these different bodies and stuff, but then you got destroyed? Where was the save file, or at least one backup of yourself there? Did you really put them all there? See, that was the part where I'm like, I didn't get a satisfactory thing. It's like, oh, I guess he concentrated on stuff all there. Either he was overly confident, or I don't know. Didn't really.
He forgot to save to the cloud.
Oh, maybe there was a part in the movie where they kind of went over. See, at least with Independence Day, they're like, all right, this mothership, it's transmitting this frequency. It's just using our own satellites and stuff. So if we can mess with that frequency, then we can mess with their asymmetric shielding. Oh my God. I think that's actually the technology they were using in Independence Day for their shields is the same that they used for the Netflix Godzilla in that Godzilla series. Because the whole thing is, all right, Godzilla emerges, doing the standard Godzilla thing. It's like, we're trying to like just use conventional weapons. All right, conventional weapons don't work because it's Godzilla. Okay, so we're going to hit it with 150 nuclear weapons. And they literally show, I think they did it actually around Louisiana. Sorry, Piper. Whereas gigantic whole, like 150 nuclear weapons just kind of like going off. And it's like, didn't do a damn thing. Why? Because of something electromagnetic frequency and shields. Basically, if you don't break through the shield, it ain't really going to do anything. Which actually, I actually love the science out of that. I feel like the animation and stuff, they should hire some YouTubers and redo that Netflix series. God, dude, some of the fan films are so freaking good. I'm like, these are people literally doing it because they love the franchise. It's like Star Wars theory and stuff. Like, he'll do those films because he loves it. He'll put in the time and effort, and that's why I say fans of the future. It's like, I can say that and not say like, now, big company. It's like, turn around and bet. What are you talking about? It's like, personally, I think since we have the internet, if we have the ability to do cool stuff all over the place, why don't we utilize that as an opportunity to be like, hi, you like this thing? I like this thing. We'd like to do some things. And kind of take it like almost from the modding community and be like, here are some mods that are useful. Maybe we'll actually incorporate them into the game. Maybe we bring some of these folks into the fold. Guess what? Now you're getting community representation. And maybe you're creating a little bit of competition because people are like, wait a second. They're adopting cool things and building into the canon, into the lore, into the universe. Now you can be part of it. And now you have like a real community. I have no idea why I went on this tangent when we're supposed to be talking about memes all on the side tangent.
It tells you that companies are handling people's favorite IP so terribly that fan fiction is now badass.
I mean,
what used to be cringe is now badass, and it's all because the original people with the original idea set out enough canon building blocks for fans to hardcore develop their fan fiction based on the originals and the original intentions. So while companies are like, I don't know, doing crap, counting numbers and stuff, forgetting about things like story and entertainment, fan fiction has now taken over as the better version. That's what happens when you remove the original creators from their own IPs and think that it's just Prince money. You just got to check a few boxes and it prints money.
And see, this was because a lot of folks, they make a big deal about Star Wars and stuff like that. And a lot of folks, it's like, well, The Last Jedi was the last straw and stuff. I sit back, I'm like, personally, I enjoyed The Last Jedi better than like The Force Awakens. Like The Force Awakens, I was just kind of like, it just kind of left me. And then it's like, I didn't pay attention to it. So it's like, you got Rogue One, and it's like, I got really confused just because I'm not like a super die-hard Star Wars fan.
I liked Rogue One. That was the last one that I paid attention to, though.
Well, it was like, once I figured out what it actually was, I didn't read it. I was just like, oh, let me just watch this movie. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, wait, what happened to like Rey and Finn and stuff? Like, those are the new characters. I'm like, all right. Like, I might not have been the biggest fan of like The Force Awakens, but it's like, I at least wanted to see what happened with the story. And I'm like, where are these characters? And then when it gets to the end, it's like, oh, I know what you're doing. I
see what you did there. Okay. Yeah.
And then we had 2 minutes of Vader. And oh my God, like that was satisfying. I understand it was absolutely brutal, but we got to see peak Lord Vader there. And that was great. Now, had I understood like that was what the movie was, I'm like, oh, it was a prequel to other things. Okay.
I also like that it's one of the few times where you can go, and everybody died. The end.
Yeah, basically everyone there. Yeah. That's
everybody died happily ever after. The end.
I
gotta kick this cat out.
I know you've suggested that. I know you've suggested that. But okay. So I'm gonna conjecture here.
Wait, we'll conjecture when I get back at the desk. Unless you're conjecturing to them and not, I won't be able to hear you for a second.
Okay, that's fine. So what I'm going to claim here, we'll go into the Wolfram thing here. Do our little side jaunt for Dan. All right, so what is really going on in machine learning? Okay, so according to Professor Wolfram, just finished a deep dive using new minimal models. Seems like machine learning is basically about fitting together lumps of computational irreducibility with important potential implications for science of machine learning and future tech. Wow. I actually made a comment that actually was correct because I read that wrong. I thought it was putting together lumps of computational reducibility. And then I read in my tweet, computational irreducibility to the rescue. I meant reducibility, but apparently that's what he actually said there. Dude, I went to ChatGPT. I tried it to take like a basic like bat signal thing. I gave it pictures of that icon and Stephen Wolfram. And it kept on giving me like Alfred and the bat signal. I'm like, okay, I understood the first time. It did not fall within your parameters because it was abusing copyright because, well, it's the bat signal. I'm like, okay, don't use the bat signal. I'm like, you still have the bat signal. And it just kept on going through. And I'm like, so I just took this grainy, like 240p photo from like the Dark Knight animated series and literally just took the free PNG of the Wolfram thing and it actually worked better. So
nice.
But basically, it sounds like it's finding areas where it's like, all right, here's a lot of dense stuff I don't know how to parse. What's the easiest way around it? I think that's like in science, like a geodesic, the path of least resistance, as you're able to flow like water. I believe that was a Bruce Lee thing. Shout out to Tim Ballou. He's developing Project Kaizen, which he's apparently has the blessing and a little bit of partnership with the Bruce Lee's family. And he's basically setting up an online multiplayer arena thing where the big thing is like teamwork. And it sounds kind of like Wii party games over the internet combined in arenas. It's a
Oh,
very
shit.
bold thing. It has problems, but he's trying to do it, and he's a successful dude, and he's making his own video game. Power to him. Going back to the memes, though.
Right, remember
Okay.
those?
On. Okay, so Fizz is back. So since Fizz is back, okay. Personally, I thought The Last Jedi, as far as because I actually got to see like Luke Skywalker in some action. Was it all the action I would have liked to see him in? No. Would I have liked some more backstory to see how Luke became quote unquote Jake Skywalker or whatnot? It's like there you only need like 3 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes of back because I took it as like just filling in the gaps. I'm like, the reason why it was so sad was because he was Luke Skywalker. And to see Luke Skywalker fall like that was a very sad thing. To see, like, that's what I took away, and I figured, I'm like, okay. And they kind of tried to redo some things, but it's like the way you presented it, it's like, personally, at 5 minutes of additional footage, you probably could have fixed a lot of things. Just my opinion there. But okay, why were people so pissed about The Last Jedi? I would conjecture it's a meme. Do you know what meme I'm talking about?
Oh, I'm not sure, man. There's too many.
I'm gonna say it's Skywalker space cow milk.
Oh, the blue milk. Yeah, that's fucking.
Yeah. See,
like instead of having that in there, maybe they could have.
See, I mean, I'm not saying that I don't have the time to go through all of the Twitter and stuff, but I think it was right here because I believe it was Tom Connors who he made a meme about this, and a lot of folks were like, "What did I see?" And this was the resonant part: seeing Luke milk the space cow, and then just kind of like drink it like this. You're like, "WTF, mate? You took Luke freaking Skywalker and you turn him into like space cow dribbling like what?" It's like, and I feel like that's where like a lot of the rage came from. And the thing is, there's plenty of things you can go after them for, like, or at least just plot wise and stuff like that. Because what was it? I still haven't even watched the last one or a bunch of the other things. It's not really interested. But I'm like, okay, if you want to go after The Last Jedi for as far as things, rather than turning into like an SJW culture war thingy, it's like, okay, we're stuck. Evacuate ship. We're going to evacuate the ship. Okay, we're evacuating it. Oh my God, our people are getting destroyed. They're slowly getting picked off. What do? We need to go to some world where there's a casino and find a person that can figure this all out. They go through that whole dang story. Your people are still getting blasted out in space, and then all of a sudden at the end it's like, well, let's do what we just could have done immediately anyway. Turn the damn cruiser around and hit warp. I mean, was I the only one that's like, okay, if you're going to be the captain going down with your ship, you're ready to sacrifice. You're going to try to protect your people? I mean, it might be a crazy thing, but I don't know. It seemed like the obvious thing, but why did you need to go to the casino thing, Wally? And see that, I think that's the
problem,
difference.
man. They don't think this stuff out. They're just like, we want a scene of this shit happening. We want a scene of that stuff happening. This would be pretty cool. And they don't like your characters need to be as smart as they're supposed to be, or the entire time your audience is going, how am I smarter than this person that's had all this training and crap? Like there's some common sense stuff you would think that they would know.
Here's the thing.
It takes you out of the imagination.
If you mess up, are you making... Here's the thing. But if you have an oopsie, just be like, you had an oopsie. We all remember Pumpkin Spice Gate from freaking like Game of Thrones. It's like, we're watching the episode. It's like, all right, yes. Queen Daenerys Targaryen and her pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, it's like, oh, they went through it. Just be like, we had an oopsie. We left it in. Okay. Or like, was it Akira Toriyama sensei? It's like, what about launch? It's like, oh, I completely forgot about launch for like, I don't know, like 5 years. So it's like, we'll add her in like the end of Dragon Ball Z for like a scene. It's like, that was kind of one of like the, I don't know, the Roshi Island crew there, and you just kind of forgot it. Hey, whatever. It's just admit to it. See, that's the thing. You admit to it, you bow your head. Right. Okay, we messed up a little bit, but I feel like
whoop.
A lot of, because one of the things that I noticed with on the internet, it's like I saw, was it Geekdom 101 earlier? It's like, yeah, I seem to notice like all this like BS fighting culture war stuff like in the Dragon Ball community and stuff like that. He's like, but it seems to not even be the Dragon Ball community. And then you see somebody else within like science Twitter, and they're like, anyone else that science Twitter kind of seems a little bit dead to them. It's like just seeing a lot of culture warrior stuff, and I'm like, I don't think that's a function of like science. I'm like, what is it? It's not like a function of the thing. It basically, hold on, let me find what I actually said. Basically, it's a function of humanity and social media. I feel like it's just a standard consequence. If you have social media, you have the influences or whatever you want, incentives, the incentive structure in play, and then you have human beings to it. I mean, it makes sense what's happening to me because you're doing things for engagement. Because you could say something completely reasonable. It's like, yes, stuff does things. Duh. It's like, but therefore aliens. Ooh, aliens. How did you get to alien? I don't know. I said it. Why? Because it's an interesting thing. It's the unknown. The unknown is either scary or intriguing. Perhaps it's both. It's intriguing, but it actually is scary. And maybe it depends on how you slice it. It's like you're exploring the cosmos. That's terrifying. What happens if something goes wrong? Earth's a long way away. That's why it's like, I'd love to go to Mars. Would I?
Nope.
Yeah, that's a long way from home.
Well, I'd rather go to the celestial realm like the usual way than get on one of y'all's rockets. Oh my god.
Do we need to start up a kick-fund-me to get you home? Send Fizz to the moon?
Oh, I can get there my way.
I mean, we could... Okay, it would probably be cheaper. But okay, so Upcycle's commenting day by day. I increasingly think that Grossendiek's term, Descend de Enfant, serves as an anachronistic visual analogy to Wolfram's Roulette. I have no idea what that means.
I think that Upcycle went to thesaurus.com and was like, this is going to rock.
Upcycle is very knowledgeable in different things. I'm just not familiar with that term. I'm familiar with Grossendiek and stuff. So something topos modeling. So basically, like, this is not a precise example. You know, on string theory, they say, think of a vibrating string. Okay, it's not a precise example exactly. Think about a bubble going, and now have that bubble fit to whatever you need it to be, and just know that that bubble is modeling the thing. You may not know exactly how, but if you had enough technology and measurements and stuff, you could figure everything out more or less. It's kind of like they say, like black hole entropy. It's like we can measure what's going. We can tell everything inside the black hole from its surface area. You're like, how does that make any sense? But if you think about it, what happens if you just have a bubble? If you have a bubble, everything was within that bubble. If you squidge it a little bit, you know it's going to squidge another way because everything is contained within there. So in a weird way, yes. So hopefully nobody pops our multiversal bubble.
Or floats
That might
away.
be bad juju. Okay, but hey, Adega, good to see you. As well as Nerdy as well. Adega's commenting. Oopsie, but never in public, never admitted to, and never without a good Okay, here's the terrible thing. Okay, Adega, I'm going to make a comment here. This is just my opinion. I am not an attorney or anything like that. Now, the thing is, and I believe this is publicly available, Adega, please cut me off when I'm saying too much. To my knowledge, Adega works doing medical stuff and things. Okay. Now, the problem is, and I'm not
Why
saying
did
this
that
has
make it
anything to do with
sound
it, but basically, okay, let's say if you're a doctor or a nurse, hypothetically, if you're a doctor or nurse, if you're working in the medical industry, if you admit a mistake, all of a sudden, now you've admitted to guilt, so now you can be sued. Here's one of the big things, and
No,
this is
not if you make your patients sign all the paperwork they have to sign. Then they're not allowed to sign.
That's it's certain. Again, I'm not an attorney and stuff like that. I do agree with at least having the right to try, which was brought to us by a previous administration. That seemed like the most obvious thing to do. But the thing is, if there is a mistake before, and this is just based upon what I've heard from other human beings, is if you make an honest mistake, somebody gets hurt. If you owe up to it, a lot of times people will be like, listen, mistakes happen. Just make this right. Now, the thing is, not everybody is like that. Some folks, and again, every situation is different. If something happens and you say that and it goes to court, now you have an admission of guilt. So, at least from what I took away from at least the greater skeptic community, whatever the heck that was that don't say you're sorry because you're admitting to guilt. Now, perhaps that's great advice from some dude that a lot of people still view as a statue of an old Akkadian emperor. Perhaps that is the right course of action. For me, I'm like, well, if you screw up and you don't admit it, it's like, and you just like deny and gaslight and call people names, it's like, isn't that just going to make the person hate you? But I'm like, if you just keep on like never admitting you're wrong, it's like, well, if that's the game we're going to build up, then other people can't admit they're wrong. So if nobody's ever admitting they're wrong, that means that everybody's right. But if you know for a fact that everybody can't be right about something, then it's
then
like...
you have social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fizz. Yeah, basically. It's... I mean, that's the sum of my rant there. Like, that's how I view social media. I'm like,
yeah,
it's just some massive entangled knot of a cluster F. Hey, Lug, what's going on? Yeah. Well, see, that's one of my dad's best friends. I don't know if he's still around. God rest his soul if he's not. He actually worked as like a brain surgeon. I know because we actually watched the old Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield fight, and my dad lost $5 because he bet on Iron Mike, and he was just like, they didn't feed him before the hey, they made amends, and there was some surgery involved with Mr. Holyfield. But I just remember he told me, he's like, listen, it's like one of the reasons why medicine is so expensive. He's like, it's not necessarily, there's a lot of stuff. You want to have the best technology that you can at your disposal to increase your chances. Kind of like if you're in an RPG, you want to have the best gear to increase your chances of whatever quest you're doing. So if somebody's working on you, you want them to have the best equipment that they have access to. But in case things go wrong, basically he said that I think his malpractice insurance, basically just the premium he had to pay to the insurance company, even if nothing happened, was like $1 million a year.
Ooh.
So in order
I'm
to be
guessing the prices
like,
go along with how dangerous and risky the
this was like
thing
20
is.
something. This was like 20 something years ago, Fizz. So it's like 20 something years ago. All right, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to help be an actual brain surgeon to help your fellow human being, at least 20 years ago, before any of your actual office equipment or anything, it was $1 million a year in insurance. And you're like, that's crazy. But we also have a lot of lawyers in the country. And the First Amendment, it's before there didn't used to be. Here's a frame of reference. Here's a mimetic frame of reference. I got asked while spending a lot of time on Discord from somebody over in Europe. They're like, why do you guys have so many commercials for lawyers in the States? And for me, like, that boggled my mind. I'm like,
hell, yeah.
well, my mind was like, oh, what do you mean? There's always been lots of commercials for lawyers. And then I'm like, okay, at that point, let me check my reference frame, so to speak. I'm a dude, been very blessed, dare I say privileged in life. I grew up with a dad that was an attorney on an East Coast state that happens to have some universities that are renowned for some of the top law schools in the world. And I always saw commercials for like attorneys and stuff like that. So it's like, well, yeah, that's always been that way. It's not that way in Europe. Apparently it used to be that way in the United States. And then the attorneys sued under the First Amendment, their freedom of speech to advertise. They won.
Oh.
And then now here's the thing. You say, well, of course the lawyers won because they're lawyers, but it's like, if you look at it from a constitutional perspective, and again, I'm not a constitutional attorney or anything, if you believe that the First Amendment, the right to freedom of speech, is a core tenet, you might not like what people are saying, you might not like the words coming out of their mouth or what they are doing, but if you're going to hold that as a tenet of an actual principle, that barring something really far out there, and again, we have certain court cases, it's like, yeah, it's like, you're going to like, all right, theater is not burning down and you shout fire or something in the crowded theater and somebody gets hurt. Okay, we have certain rules. But aside from stuff like that, yeah. And there was even a court case out of, this is where, probably almost 10 years ago now, probably 8 years ago, where I think it was actually here in Massachusetts, where, what was it? There was an individual, a gentleman, and unfortunately, he ended up taking his own life. Oh. Now, what ended up happening is his, I think, girlfriend at the time, I believe that, I didn't really follow the trial well, but his girlfriend at the time basically coaxed him into it and said, you should do it. It was,
yeah. Okay, that one, yeah.
There was a whole series like text messages and communications, and all of a sudden it's like, wait. So this person did not physically do anything, but they were charged and they were convicted. This young lady was convicted for something in regards to the death of this individual. Now, for me, I'm like, okay, it may have been heinous. It may have been unconscionable. Maybe that is, I'm not an attorney, but I'm like, did they actually do something? And for me, the way I compartmentalize that is like, was there a duty of care? Because if all of a sudden, like, if you have like a nurse or a medical professional telling, you should probably, maybe you shouldn't be around.
Yeah, like, in that position. I mean, unless they're in Canada, then they get paid to do that. But
I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in Canada, and apparently, I believe most folks are good people, and good people can figure these things out. It's just, how do you deduce what's actually going on? Because when you start seeing some of the stuff, where is it? Oh my God. I actually have. Hold on. I think I'll bring it up. Biz, tell us about your favorite meme that you've seen recently.
Kangaroo lady. Oh no, Ray Gun. The
kangaroo what?
Kangaroo lady. Ray Gun, the supposed break dancer.
Wait, which one was that?
Basically, all the Olympic memes are my favorite memes right now. She represented in Australia and like went up there and did. I mean, she technically, and you could argue she definitely broke dancing. But I guess not in the way that counts as break dancing.
Okay,
she just kind of flopped around, and everybody else around was like, "What the hell is going on right now?"
Listen, okay, now I think I know what you're talking about. But it's like I think we've all done that before. Okay, so not to get political, but here's the thing: I have no comment on the actual things said in these things. There's a lot of channels I don't really watch much anymore, but I find it fascinating if you actually follow a bunch of, because a lot of times the algorithm, it shows you things that you spend time on. So if you see something like a headline that offends you or something, very often people will just click off. Like, I don't want to see that. I want to see things. So people say that's how you get social media bubbles. I'm like, I don't need to watch these things, but let me just keep tabs on different folks that have very differing ideas. Okay. So I just find this interesting. Okay. So David Pakman from the David Pakman Show, please. Former Republican strategist, devastating warning to Trump. Oh my God. Trump is in trouble. Oh, so many bad things. Okay, then 38 minutes to 10 minutes before that, Professor Gatz put Kamala Harris is a lobotomized communist. An economics lesson, the sad truth. Oh my God. Vice President Harris is doomed. Like those are the things you get. And I'm like, okay, if you're seeing one of these type of things again and again, it's like, I don't know, is this where you get the concept of my truth or what's going on? Or see, I take kind of like maybe more of like a particle physics approach to it. It's like there are an infinite number of beliefs and takes on these things. Okay. So what if I just took all the infinite amount of takes, assume the infinities cancel each other out? What is the net that we actually get out of it? See, that's how I kind of look at it there. It's like people entitled to their own beliefs. It's once you try to start justifying your beliefs by saying that other people do not have the right to share their beliefs. And maybe there is a reason. I don't know. That's why I think the old saying was only Sith deal in absolutes.
Yeah.
There might be something out there. Oh, that's I think that's why a lot of folks are retiring at Dega, because going back to the doctor thing, it's like
that's why
$1 million for just even like if you're talking like a pediatrician or something. I'm like not just even pediatrician. I mean like you're dealing with kids and stuff. So it's like I've heard some stories. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field. There's a lot of hardworking folks. I still believe that most folks are trying to do the right thing, but it can be very hard in this landscape. Because you were about ready to speak some things.
Oh no! Well, another thing is, an oopsie carries different weight in different professions, and so not all oopses are created equal. Even if it's shit happens.
I installed the wrong faucet versus I amputated the wrong foot. That's
right. Shit happens. It happens.
One
to
is
everybody.
more easily fixed than
yeah, and it happens unfortunately when we really don't need it to. But the difference is if shit happens, even if it's something outside, outside the doctor's control, right? Something happens, they're in the middle of surgery, it's technically outside their control. It's still going to have a much bigger effect than, delivery driver leaves a package at the wrong door. I mean, or like the address gets rubbed off a box or something and they read it wrong, or something outside of the control of a much simpler job where lives generally aren't on the line in any kind of capacity, except for maybe the life of the person working, and that's if they really suck at their job, like at a at a candy store or something. But then of course there's the industrial freaking factory. Oh my gosh, those oopses, those or almost as weighty as medical practice oopsies. Holy crap. But at least that like the victims are the workers. But those are, definitely some devastating, life-changing or life-ending oopsies. But yeah, you have things kind of like medical, medical practice is obviously the best example of it's still a case of shit happens. But unfortunately, the shit happened while a medical professional was working on technically their customer, patient, and it had, that really fucked up the patient. I mean, is it the doctor's fault? I mean, the hospital's fault? Is it anything's fault that, I mean, obviously they're going to look, they're going to investigate and they're going to figure out, oh, it was the maintenance guy's fault. But either way, you know what? That doctor
was totally my fault,
right? That maintenance guy, it's going to be on their conscience the rest of their life. It's still going to be on the doctor's conscience, and that patient's life is still altered forever, or they're dead, depending on the oops or the shit that happened. Everybody involved is still going to be deeply affected, and it's a much more expensive oops. Because, you're not going to get all that money out of some random maintenance dude that's like, I was just doing my job, dude. Like, the universe had other plans, but like.
Well, that's the thing, and within science and stuff, at least the way I was taught, it's like the scientific method. What are you trying to do? You're trying to figure out what's going on. Now, you first know that you're not going to be able to know what's going on, but you're trying to model it. So, if there are an infinite amount of different variables, you're just trying to account for them the best you are. So, whether you're doing like a high energy particle physics thing, it's like, all right, we want to cool this to a particular temperature. We want to make sure there's like nothing else going on. Or like, was it LIGO, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Observatory? What the heck is that? It's a freaking facility where it's like, all right, you have like a 1 kilometer long tube and it goes back and forth and they shine a laser and they have 2 lasers and they're kind of shining these lasers and they're at the same wavelength so they cancel out. However, if there's a gravitational disturbance that's at the frequency that it can pick up, what will happen is those lasers that are a kilometer apart will shift about the size of a proton. What is that? It's like 10 to the minus 15 meter, maybe 18 meters, depending on which radius you want to take there.
But depending on what you're doing, that's huge.
But they can detect it. So now that's so precise, but also the problem is with that level of precision, it's like, all right, did we actually measure the merger of 2 stellar mass black holes? Or did the intern sneeze? Or was there a large truck going down the street? Those are other factors that you need to try to account for. And that's why they have a couple of them across the world. I think there's one in Louisiana. I think there's one like in, I forget, maybe California, maybe the Northwest, Midwest somewhere. And then I think one in India. So it's like, all right, at that point, even with dump trucks and sneezing interns, you would probably see the same thing within a very short period of time, because gravitational waves, as far as we know, seem to travel at the speed of light based upon the knowledge of stuff and things, assuming gravitational waves are real, assuming that anything is real, or at least we have the knowledge to actually break down and try to figure out what is going. Does gravity have mass or not? Okay. I'm still trying to parse that discussion that Kurt had the other day with Dr. Raj? I forget her name. I apologize. Small universe. All I know is, unfortunately, bubble wrap ain't going to be what it used to be. They're getting rid of it. It's a very sad thing. Now I'm thinking about maybe all those universes I've destroyed of little air within plastic. I'm a terrible human being. But with that said, and Fizz twitching, it's about time for Fizz to share what she's got going on tonight on Twitch.
I also want to apologize because I've been swamped today, so I was eating my dinner during this whole show.
Oh, no. I mean, I usually do such similar things and or put you on the spot while you're either shoving your face with tasty snacks or doing other types of stuff and things. But Fizz,
the
what's on the play
convenience
docket?
of not actually being on camera while being on camera is kind of nice. I just meant, if you guys heard weird noises during this show, yeah, sorry, I was trying to stealthily stuff my face in the only time slot that I got. Later,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to accidentally on purpose do a lot of oopsies in the amusement park that I am building on Twitch. Mostly because
Sims or?
I don't. Yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3.
Oh. That actually looked like one of those fun games that I considered playing at one point. I ended up going with Pirates Gold.
Ooh.
Or Sid Meier's at the time. It was originally
I love
Pirates
Roller
Gold on
Coaster Tycoon. I just
Yeah,
I'm not great with the Earth physics when making the roller coasters, but what I do know how to do is make really creepy theme parks and then remove pieces of the ride. Pause real quick to remove pieces of the ride.
No.
And then hit play again. So a lot of oopsies happen. And you know what's great? When you make a like tragic freaking insane theme park oopsies in this game, not only does your park stay open, But all you have to do to get people to go back on the same ride is fix the piece real quick, change the colors, like paint it a different color, and change its name. And then people will get right back on it and you can do it again.
So it's like Grand Theft Auto. It's like, I totally ripped this vehicle. Everyone's looking for me. Just go into the paint shop, new paint shop. Okay, we have no idea who you are.
Yep.
Well, we learned a lot today about the
best is when you get people on those observation tower rides and you get the tower to go as high as possible.
I want to enjoy theme parks in the future. So, Fiz's links are in the doobly-doo or in the chat and everything. And Fiz, any other non-roller coaster accident-related words?
Penis.
Oh, you heard it here. Don't forget your peanuts. And with that said,
Good
no
protein.
Monster Girls were heard in the making of this show.
I'm broken. You broke me. Oh no. Oh dear. You guys? You guys! I just want to hug some